Okay, so have you ever like gotten into a huge fight with your partner and it all started with something totally dumb?
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
who's gonna grab
Yeah,
takeout?
yeah.
Or like what to watch on Netflix. Today, we are diving deep into a topic I think we can all relate to: stubbornness in relationships.
Oh, a good one.
We've got excerpts from this article. When you love someone, you'll stop being stubborn.
Okay.
And we're going to try to figure out, like, what does it really mean to compromise for someone you care about?
Right.
Because it's not always easy.
It's not. And it's interesting, because the article focuses specifically on romantic relationships.
Yeah.
Stubbornness really doesn't discriminate. I mean, you think about it, families, work dynamics, friendships.
Oh, yeah.
Stubbornness is it's a universal experience.
Yeah. For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. And so this article is saying, like, if you're really in love, all that stubbornness, poof, gone. Like you just become this like super accommodating
Right.
person. Is that realistic?
Well, I mean, the article does dig a little deeper, and it kind of gets into how, stubbornness in and of itself isn't always a bad thing. At its core, it's just, having a strong opinion and, wanting to hold on to your viewpoint. The key, and I think what they're getting at here, is, recognizing your own personal stubbornness triggers.
Okay.
Like, what is it that really sets you off? Is it, lack of sleep? Have you had a stressful day? Did you just eat an entire bag of chips? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
And once you can identify that in yourself, that can help you and your partner kind of navigate those moments with each other, right?
That makes total sense. And they actually give an example in here. They were talking about like refusing date ideas.
Okay.
But like, couldn't there be other reasons someone might say no to a date idea?
Sure.
Right? Like maybe they have dietary restrictions. Maybe they worked a double and they're exhausted.
Right. It's not always about just being stubborn. It's about context. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the article really emphasizes this too, that compromise is kind of the solution here, which I
Yeah.
think is a good segue into kind of the next point, which is
Well, yeah, because they talk about like love equals being willing to compromise.
right.
But how do we know if we are compromising in a way that's healthy? Or are we just like always putting our needs on the back burner?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And that is the question, isn't it? So the key difference here is, it's healthy to compromise on your preferences, but not on your core needs and values.
Okay.
So like choosing where you want to eat, preference, right?
Read it.
But, giving up a career dream because your partner doesn't approve, that's a core value. Like
Yeah.
that's non-negotiable.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a really good distinction.
Yeah.
So like if I'm like obsessed with rom-coms
Yeah,
and my partner will only watch action thrillers, maybe like a suspense, is a good compromise.
exactly. Exactly. It's about finding that common ground,
Right.
right? Where you're both willing to budge a little.
And this kind of goes into like this other thing that they were talking about in the article, which is like how love can like inspire us to try new things.
Yeah.
Like we kind of get out of our comfort zones for the other person.
Yeah.
But is that really love? Or is it more about just like compatibility?
I think it's a little bit of both, right?
Mm.
I mean, when you're in love, you are by nature, I think, a little bit more open to, exploring,
Yeah.
and sharing new experiences. It can strengthen a bond, that's for sure.
Right.
But it should be a two-way street, right?
Right.
It shouldn't just be one person constantly kind of going along to get along. You shouldn't feel pressured to like completely change who you are.
Right. Right. Well, and they say in here, like, be each other's plus one for life. And it sounds really romantic.
It does.
But is that actually sustainable? Like, will that create like pressure, maybe some resentment if you feel like you always have to be, joined at the hip?
Right. And I think that's where this concept of equality comes in. And the article really emphasizes this, that healthy relationships, they require both partners to be equals.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that, everything has to be a perfectly even 50-50 split, like when it comes to, who does what chores or, who makes what decisions. But it's about fairness,
Yep.
and mutual respect. It's about valuing each other's contributions equally.
Right, because I mean, not all relationships are that perfectly balanced 50-50, right?
Yeah.
Like, what about couples where one person stays home, maybe with the kids, and the other one works? There's an imbalance there inherently,
Yeah.
right?
Sure, absolutely. And I think, that goes back to, compromise and respect,
Yep.
right? Even if those roles aren't perfectly, equal on the surface, what matters is that both people feel heard and respected and like their needs are valued.
So to kind of wrap all of this up, this article is saying love shouldn't equal stubbornness, right? Like digging our heels in.
Right.
But it also shouldn't mean that we just like completely lose ourselves in the relationship.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's about finding that sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
Staying true to who you are, but also remaining open to your partner's perspective.
Ooh, I like that. It's a dance, not a wrestling match.
There you go. There you go.
So for our listeners out there, maybe a good place to start is like think about when was the last time I actually sat down and tried to see my partner's point of view, even if I didn't agree with it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, even those small everyday acts of consideration can make a world of difference.
Right.
Totally.
True. Absolutely. And, the article really focused on how love should like decrease stubbornness.
Yeah.
But here's like a final thought, right?
Okay.
Could there be like a healthy amount of stubbornness in a relationship?
Mm,
Something to think about.
I like that.